They ate a bear. They ate a bear. Yeah. That's it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to A Bite of. Today, we are talking about The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 1. Oh, I'm Derek, and that's Noah. But you knew that already.
Oh, man. I hope your yearning tendrils are ready because it's finally back. It feels like it's been quite a while.
It sure has. And let me tell you something. I'm reluctantly coming back into this world because it likes to emotionally wreck us.
That is very true. As you will know, we're doing double duty. We're doing Doctor Who and The Last of Us. Couldn't be more opposite.
Yeah.
But yet both very emotionally taxing.
Yeah. And both very intense in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
So we just need, it's fine.
Yeah. So to make sure that you're getting those notifications when those episodes drop double duty, follow us on your
What was the other one? Yearning Tendrils?
Yeah.
And now Double Duty?
Yeah.
Cocky?
Make sure you're following us on social media platform of your choice. Subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, YouTube. That's the only place you can see video, or Spotify. Yeah. So don't miss out on those yearning tendrils.
Stop saying that. I support Double Duty more than I do Yearning Tendrils.
Okay. So spoilers ahead, but there's going to be 2 spoilers. Okay. I have played the game. Derek has not played the game. I will not spoil game stuff unless it shows it in the show. But
he wants to.
I will double spoil something if I have to say something about the game. So you'll be warned. So don't worry if you haven't played the game. I will not spoil things. So spoiler ahead.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Let us officially take a bite of The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1, Future Days, written and directed by Craig Mazin. 5 years after we've last seen them, Joel and Elli have grown in opposite directions. They've solidified themselves in their sanctuary, but their relationship is unstable at best. New allies and foes appear on the horizon, while a cordyceps evolution adds to the mounting tension. All right, so what? So what did you think of this first episode of this season?
I really liked it. Part 2 of this video game franchise, I wasn't sure how they were going to do it, and I know that Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann and everybody that was working on this, they have said throughout interviews and the official podcast and everything, listen to ours instead. No, I'm just kidding. They have said that it was a challenge to do that, and I think when you adapt a video game, you're playing as those characters. There's more empathy that's involved. When you're doing it in a show, something this big and something that goes back and forth in the game, I was very curious how they were going to do that. I think so far from one episode, I think they did a good job. The acting, though, is still there. Casting, love all of it. It looks amazing. Score, fantastic. All of those things from the first season carried over so far in this first episode. I think it set up what this season 2 is going to be about, the perspectives of who is who's right, who's wrong, is there a right and is there a wrong. It's still too early to say like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I think they're off to a good start.
Yeah, I agree. I think the way that I thought about it was that it feels like a powder keg. I feel like they fully have this thing ready to blow, right? We've cranked up the tension in all areas, emotional, physical, cordycepsical. And I just think as the season goes on, it's just going to get out of control. I really liked it, and like I said, I was kind of going into this a little trepidatious just because it is so heavy, but they do a phenomenal job. And the cast itself is still ringing really true and bringing everything to it. And I think that they love these characters and you can see that.
Yeah. How do you feel about the balancing between some of the humor and the seriousness of this? Because this episode, even though it was, a little over an hour, there was action and there was scares and there was dark and there was humor. Do you think they balanced that pretty well?
I think balance is a strong word. I do think, though, that you have to add some humanity to these characters, right? Because if it's all killing all the time, then we're not going to feel a connection to them. So we have to give that base layer of just fun, I think, to show their connections and to kind of lead into it.
And I guess how growing up in the apocalypse actually, you know, because it seemed like very much there's parts in this episode where Elli and Dina are very like joking around and everything, but they're also going to be killing an infected. So it's like, I guess you do what you have to do. You know, they're not really squeamish with some things.
Yeah. I mean, they've, like you said, they've been growing up to this. This is their normal. So I think, you know, going out and doing these kind of parameter checks and things like that. Patrols. It just is second nature to them. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess a rebellious teenager going out and drinking with their friends. Like, this is like, let's go kill some undead.
Infected. You're acting like this is your first rodeo.
Excuse me. It's been a long time. Give me some grace.
They're not zombies. They're infected.
Well, I didn't say that they were zombies. So at least there's that. But, you know, I always think it's interesting when between one season and another, there's a big time jump. So how did that feel to you? I mean, that's pretty true to the game, no?
Yeah, the game, I would say the second part is like almost twice as long as the first game. So there's more stories. So they're only going to be covering half of this second game in the season. They've already said that there's a season 3 coming. I would say the beginning of this is different from the game in that we almost get kind of a step back from when the game picks up. We're almost getting the calm before the storm. Which I think is needed in a television format because, like I said, in the second part, you're playing between two different characters a lot. And so you get that backstory. But I think here they needed to really set it up in a certain way. Opening with the ending scene from season 1, I think was really important because that's the catalyst for the entire second part of the game. And so for them to put you back into that and reminding you that, like, yeah, Joel made this decision. Elli knows he's full of shit, or at least suspects, I think, at that point. And then where they go from there, I think it's important to show that.
Why do you, like, you know, give me some insight. Maybe in the games you learn this. Why does Joel hide the truth from her?
Well, I think I'm without spoiling things, just taking it into season 1, right? You have this man that is just riddled with grief. He's lost everything. He lost his daughter at the beginning of it, right? And he found a new daughter in Elli. So of course, this man that went from calling her cargo to his daughter is going to do everything he can. Is it right? I don't know. To save her. And when he found out, he didn't even get a chance to really say goodbye. You know, they told him when he was in that hospital, like, they're going to have to, like, kill her. Like, it's from the brain, right? So his immediate reaction was, I have to save her. And doesn't matter at what cost. Unfortunately, there's consequences to that.
Do you think that he's afraid that Elli would have said, you should have let me die?
Yeah, because I think she would have. Yeah. She, on Ellie's part, she lost Riley, right? So she's lost something and she wants her life to mean something. She wants her immunity to mean something. And he robbed her of that autonomy.
Yeah.
And so it's very complicated, right? On one hand, the Fireflies they've been trying to find a cure. There's other people that like might be immune that they've tried this on. There hasn't been a cure yet. So what happened to those people? They're just dead. So I think there is that, there's that part of not going to succeed in the cure that Joel was like, if there's a chance that it wasn't going to mean nothing, I'd rather have her.
Right.
And again, is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know what I would do. I think I would be more inclined to maybe do what Joel did, but not, I don't know, leave no witnesses.
Right. That's very true. I mean, that's what's so interesting about, I think, this whole series, you know, is that there are things that happen that I think when you're looking at them from an outside perspective, you're going, well, that's wrong, right? Murder is wrong, but for our main character, he's saving our other main character, so that feels right. So I think in this whole world, the big question of, like you said before, right versus wrong, well, it's kind of a gray area.
Yeah, and I think in a apocalyptic society, there's things that have to change that are maybe if the society was stable and there was an apocalypse, they wouldn't have to do, right? So I don't know. I think he made a decision he feels is right, but the thing that also makes it wrong is that he's lying about it. He's lying to himself. He's lying to Elli. He's lying to everybody about it. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you know that it was right, why are you lying?
And
so it's a lot of guilt and a lot of trauma there. So I like that they reminded us of that, even just in that little tiny scene. And then flash forward 5 years, we've just seen that they've completely drifted apart. She lives in the garage. He lives in this house by himself. And seeing Pedro Pascal back as Joel, but aged, like 5 years, it was rough.
But he still looks so handsome.
So handsome.
Yeah. Well, I just have to say the cleanliness of these folks in the sanctuary it's beyond anything I've ever seen in any dystopian property. So kudos to the team in Wyoming, Jackson, Wyoming. They must have some real good soap stores going there.
Well, Dina didn't smell great, so they at least have running water.
That's true. That's true. But they still have makeup and stuff, so that's fancy.
It's wild. I saw a photo of him from the first episode to like the middle of the first season to this one, and I'm like, holy crap! Like, he doesn't really look that old. They definitely like aged him with makeup, but they did such a good job on aging this man.
Mm-hmm.
He's been through some stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's a question that I have, is that within these 5 years, I'm curious just how quickly did their relationship deteriorate, right? There's obviously the thing of going from 14 to 19 years old. I mean, going through puberty, being a teenager, there's some rebelliousness there. I think that comes with the territory, even when, you're not possibly the secret to curing this infection, but
also in the apocalypse.
But then compounded with this lie, or this failure of trust that's happened between them.
I think it's going to be interesting because I'm so sorry to say in the game, but in the game, it does flashbacks a lot in that 5 years, which I think was smart for them to continue to do, because now we're sitting here wondering what happened in those 5 years. Like, does Elli know? We don't know if she knows. We can only infer that, they've definitely drifted apart. Maybe they're not talking about it, but like stuff has happened in that 5 years that we will see just from those trailers that we've seen. They're definitely younger. So it's going to be interesting to see that journey to where they are now and then where the season's going to take them. One change that I thought was interesting from the game to this was the sequence of seeing Abby and her crew at the grave site, or at the graves in Seattle. So I thought that was an interesting change of showing kind of Abby up front with what she's going to do this season, or attempt to do, right? She's like, when we find this Joe or Joel person, I want to kill them slowly. Like, she's setting out for revenge immediately with her group of friends. And I think that was interesting because in the game, these people kind of just show up and you don't really know anything. And as the game unfolds, you find out information. And there's flashbacks and all of that. So doing it up front, I feel like is almost weird. Like it lessens the surprise or mystery, or you as a viewer figuring this stuff out and experiencing it as Elli or Joel or people in Jackson would. But maybe they just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same playing field that didn't play the game, I guess.
Yeah. And thinking about it myself, I have some knowledge of the games,
you
right?
You saw me play the opening.
Yes. And so I think that even watching this, I thought it was almost a little too abrupt, that there's just this grieving person that we've never met before in this version of the world, the television version of the world. And she's kind of just laying it out all on the table. So I agree with you that I almost wish that they kept us in the dark a little longer and let that tension build of going, well, who is this person? Why are they there? What are they looking for? I think that might have maybe served it, especially, at the end of the episode when they do pop up.
Maybe we'll know why at the end of the season, why they did that. Who knows? Our opinion on that could change, definitely. Because I think it almost would have been beneficial to, at the end of this episode, we see Abby and her crew kind of show up on like a cliff overlooking Jackson. So it's like, okay, they found somebody, Joe, and that would have been a cool like cliffhanger, like, oh, who is this person? Who is there? But I will say in this scene, so Kaityln Dever, fantastic. I mean, I don't think that I haven't questioned her ability to play Abby. Granted, she doesn't really look like the character. I don't care. It's more about, can they act? Are they good? Are they embodying this character? And I think so far in just this 2-3 minutes, I was like, she can show remorse. She can show hate. she can so drive just in those few seconds. So I'm very excited to see going forward.
Yeah, I definitely think they made, I mean, with all these new characters, the casting was fantastic. And I think Kaitlyn Dever really does do a good job. For the few minutes that she is in the episode for, we do see that full range of emotion and we see that rage that's built in her. And it's hard to watch her kind of talk about this with such emotional force because she's almost our opponent in this, right? She's kind of seen as a villain
from the beginning,
right?
Because we hear her say, I want to kill this person.
Absolutely. But then when you think about it of, you know, he killed her dad, well, of course she'd need revenge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how are we supposed to, you know, see this new character who's justified in their own right, but yet, you know, we don't want her to find Joel.
I also did like, though, they added like description. There's like, they say he's handsome. And I'm like, they say, I just want to know the Firefly that, because this group was trying to save the Fireflies that Joel was just like massacring. And I just want to know the one that was like, he's handsome. Yeah.
You're going to love his face. It's so handsome. I like that.
The curls. Ooh.
Yeah. Joel is the most handsome man in the apocalypse, according to legend.
Yeah.
The you know, surgeon murderer. The handsome surgeon murderer.
Okay, so going on, I would say, so Ellie and Joel, we touched on them a little bit. We see him, you know, with his nephew. We see him interact with Tommy. We kind of see that in dialing up the constructometer, which I think was amazing and brilliant. But one of I think the most powerful scene in this episode was with Gail, Catherine O'Hara. This therapist that takes weed for payment and doesn't care to drink and tell him how it is in the session. What did you make of this scene?
I love this scene. I mean, I think that when we look at this scene, right, it shows there's definite growth in Joel emotionally, right? He was so closed off in our first season. And here, you know, he's going out of his way to go to therapy sessions because he really badly wants to figure out what's going on with Ellie and patch up that relationship because he cares about her so much.
But lie about it.
Sure. He can't seem to bring himself to tell the truth, even to his therapist, who you're supposed to be able to be as open as possible with. But with Gail, you know, she can see through his bullshit. You know, she was, I'm guessing, a psychologist before the world ended.
Imagine if she wasn't. She was like, how can I get weed? You know, it would be really valuable in apocalypse. A therapist.
I have a notebook. I'm ready. Yeah, totally.
She would.
She would. But I think this scene, like I said, really shows us emotional growth. And I think it's a really powerful scene, especially at the end of the scene when we really just have these close-ups on their faces, you know, and Pedro Pascal can act his fucking ass off.
I mean, the man can shed a single tear and look gorgeous doing it.
He made me shed a single tear.
Yeah.
I did not look so gorgeous, but it's fine.
You always look gorgeous.
Oh.
I really liked the kind of flipping of this scene because I think we were expecting, you know, some type of therapy scene or, you know, Joel to say something or just be like, you know, this is my 19-year-old kid and she hates me. The way Catherine O'Hara, oh my God, kind of flips this and it was like, you know what, to put it out there is better to try to heal that way instead of keeping it in, Joel. So she does the tactic of not only telling him, like, I'm pissed at you because you unalived my husband. I know you didn't have a choice, but I can't help but be upset about that. Okay, now your turn. That was so fucking badass, but also terrible because now we have this, okay, Eugene, why did he kill him? We're going to get like a Bill and Frank kind of episode 3 of like that story. That would be crazy.
Yeah, it'd be really crazy. I mean, there's artistry and there's planning in this scene, right? Especially when he first walks in, he sees the two boots, right? There's obviously her boots and then a man's pair of boots.
A whole year.
And we know that those boots have remained empty, right? What I also like about this scene is that I think it's showing two different ways to deal with grief. Not even necessarily between Joel and Gail, but I think between Gail and Abby, right? So we have one person who has had someone taken from them by Joel and they want to get revenge on them. right? Whereas Gail is here and is saying, I'm really fucking mad at you. I'm furious, but I needed to get it out. So it's kind of like two different ways of dealing with this. And so, you know, again, this is another question of like, how do you deal with something like this? Do you get revenge? Do you forgive but don't forget?
I'm really curious on what the situation is. I know that we are going to get a backstory with Eugene because the actor has been casted. It's in the cast list. So I really want to know how she knows that he didn't have a choice. Like there has to be very specific circumstances, right, for that to happen, for her to know. And, you know, again, she can't help the way she feels. But I 100% agreed that I think we are seeing how these people do deal with grief, how they do deal with dealing with the person that enacted that grief on them, be that on accident or on purpose, and how you deal with that. Maybe she's better to deal with it because not only is she drunk, but also she gets high all the time and she knows how to deal with her emotions. Well, she's like, I got it.
She's a mental health professional. So
just masterclass of acting in this scene. And I wanted more of it. And I'm like, it's just two people in a room talking.
And I think, like you're saying, just to have two actors literally sitting across from each other, and that's all that's going on, and it's a conversation, and to get those emotions out of the viewer, it was just really well done.
Yeah. And these are the scenes that I really like as somebody that has played the game, is because this is new. Gail is a new character, and this whole story of Eugene is new because in the video game, he's just a guy that they knew that, you know, grew weed and died of natural causes. That's it. He did leave his like wife and kid, but like that's not what obviously happens in the show. So this is exciting because I'm like, ooh, this is new. This is the cool thing about adapting something, because even though the creators involved, they can tell the same story, but change it just a little bit. Yeah. And that's why I liked the beginning of this episode, because we didn't really get that in the game. So I like that they're showing like, okay, this is where they are now. This is where they've grown apart. This is where they've gotten closer. And here's where we're going now before everything hits the fan.
Yeah, it's a cool idea to think that they can take these characters who are basically loose sketches from the game and then actually shade them in to give them life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So we have to talk about Dina because, Isabela Merced stole the episode. Everybody's fantastic in this, but I could not help but be completely just charmed by her every single time. She's so funny, adorable, also scary.
You want to be her friend.
Yeah.
Like you can't help but lean in and go, I would be on her team. Mm-hmm. You know, I wish that she liked me.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a good point. Yeah.
And what's interesting about Dina's character is that she's kind of, I mean, not necessarily caught between Joel and Ellie, but she has a relationship with both of them.
She is, I would say, but it doesn't seem like it affects her that much. She understands, and that could just be who she is, or maybe that's just what the apocalypse does to people. Like, okay, yeah, they hate each other, but like where are we going to live? Like, we're all in the same town.
Can't get away.
Right. So, but I think that she knows that something has happened between them, but she loves them both. So she's willing to kind of play like, oh, well, I'm going to be watching these movies with Joel. Like, do you want to come? No. Okay. So like she's trying.
Yeah.
She tries. Like, but are you in therapy, Joel? Cool.
It seems like she on some level feels like they should be on better terms, right? And
yeah, I think everybody wants it.
Yeah. And like, you know, she's obviously very close to Ellie. And so she knows that like, oh gosh, Ellie, if you could just get over whatever this is you're dealing with, it would be so much better because you could be back with Joel.
And that kind of sucks too, because like she doesn't really know why. Nobody does. And so that must be frustrating to be in her shoes, to love both of them, but be like, what the fuck? Like, what happened?
And also not to mention that, you know, like Joel is kind of like a big part of this establishment, you know? And so Ellie is also really, so they're both really well known. And so it's like, oh good, there's, you know, trouble in the leaders' houses, you know, they're all fighting, you know, there's gossip in Jackson.
In the Council of Nine, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved the scene where they go on patrol, right? One, the patrol leader, Kat, her hat / beanie / thing, I want it. I've never seen that before.
It's 3 hats in one.
It's amazing. Yeah. For sure. I wish Jesse would have went along with him because I love the character of Jesse and I just wanted more of him in this, but whatever. So the whole scene where they go to the supermarket and they see the bear and they get to the stalker, I loved the sequence. I thought they played it really well. There was really fun Easter eggs in the game. We got the bottle, we got stalkers now, them climbing on vehicles to then get into it exactly like the game. Those are elements of things that it's like, it's not unnatural. Like you would think that in a video game adaptation, like that would be weird. It's like, oh no, that kind of works. Like they did it.
This absolutely, though, felt like the most video game portion of this episode.
And it was so cool.
It was really cool. And it was just like, you could see it in your head. You could see it play out where, they kill that first infected and then she falls through the floor. And of course, Dina has to find another way down, which just gives Elli just enough time to get bitten by the stalker. Like that's so video game.
It's so much fun.
But it was a lot of fun. And I think this introduction of the stalker was so scary. Watching them in the background was like,
it was a really smart way to play and set up that scene, because when Elli finds the People magazine, which they do it weekly, so the week that came out with Jennifer Aniston on the cover, so your eyes are drawn to that and you're like thinking about that and you're like, oh, what is she going to say? Is this like the diary that she found in that one room? And then you just see that skitter right behind it. I was like, oh, I think you said, was that a cat? They played that so well. And then not only to show it once, but 3 times. That's fun. That is so much fun.
And when I think of Elli, I think that Elli has a hold on this world. She gets it, right? And so to see Elli be outsmarted by this type of infected, that gives you pause because you realize this is something they haven't seen before.
Well, just go back to what Tess said in the first season. And she said, you might be immune from getting bit, but you're not immune from being torn apart. And that's something that Elli needs to constantly work on, because I think there is this level of, I'm a fucking badass. I can do whatever I want. Yes, maybe you won't get infected if you get bit, but that stalker could have easily just torn open your stomach. Like you're not immune from that.
Right.
So she's very lucky to get away with how she got away with it. Later seeing her having to cover up that bite was intense. And what do? It's like, okay, I'm immune, but how do I explain that to people? Like, there's no way to explain, like, what do I do with this immunity? Because we tried, even though it didn't really work out because of Joel's choice. So just seeing her having to deal with covering up the one on her arm, covering up the one on her stomach, there's a lot going on for Elli.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited and scared to see how that plays out through the rest of the season.
I mean, I do think that in the season, Elli is going to be forced to grow up. And, in this episode, personally, I felt like Elli was almost unlikable as a character. And I'm not saying that Elli has to be likable, but I think it's just showing how she's pushing so much against Joel in every way.
It's like plucky. Like, like not necessarily like in a positive way, but she is like that 19-year-old that is like, devil may care. I do what I want. I'm going to be annoying. And I think they're doing it on purpose, because I think the arc of this season is very much going to be, she needs to stop doing that. Mm-hmm. She's going to have to grow up again. So I think it's smart, but I agree. It was a little annoying, but you could tell they were doing that on purpose. We have to talk about the New Year's dance, the New Year's barn soiree. Beautiful scene set, exactly like the game, which just makes, I don't know, it's just rewarding to see something like that, like be recreated. What did you make of the Dina and Elli kiss?
Oh, I'm here for it.
Because she's the other one.
Yes. I think, again, it's such an interesting juxtaposition to showing the different ways kids grow up, right? And in the sense of change and discover themselves, but it's set in the backdrop of an apocalypse, right? And so seeing them come together and talk about how they smell, but yet there can still be that attraction there because they're young, they're figuring things out. I thought that was really beautiful. Like you said, I think the scene setting was gorgeous. The lights are just absolutely stunning. But I think that it also depicts that even though it's the end of the world, people are still homophobic assholes.
Get over it. Get over it.
What is the deal?
Like
Seth?
Fuck Seth. Like if I had a settlement like this, first order of business, if you're racist, homophobic, xenophobic, like any of the bigots, if you fall under that category, you're out.
Get fucked.
Or you're
I'm cursing a lot. I apologize.
just going to old yeller you. Like, that's it. We
Or
don't
just
need you.
Set him out to the barrier.
Yeah, that's true.
Go get some cordyceps. Make some friends. Then we'll shoot you in the head. Goodbye.
Yo.
What? Deserved.
Yeah, no, I think this scene, when it happened, I forgot it happened. And I went, oh my God. Because at first it's like, oh yeah, maybe, like, I get, like, it's a family event. Maybe they were making out too much. And then the slur, like, why? Like, that is who you are. And you just couldn't wait. You're like, oh, finally, here's some gay people.
It was too much drinking on the New Year's. Says lips got a little loose.
I will say, I agree with what Joel did. In fact, he should have done more, but that's what we all should be doing.
What did he do? He pushed him.
And I think this scene is really like, there was many moments. The moment where he went into Ellie's room to get the guitar, he was like, the strings are, he like ran away to go fix it, which was cute. And this one where she humiliates him in front of everybody. I secondhand embarrassment, one, but also just a deep sadness for this guy because like he lost his daughter and his daughter that is here now wants nothing to do with him. And she's just projecting that to everybody else. It's just so sad. Like,
it's so sad.
I just want to give him a hug. Like, it's okay.
Everything he's done has been for her. You know, I mean, I think that's, like you said, the transformation of Joel is that at first it was for him, but then it became for her. And it still continues to be for her.
And I do think that there is still some for him, but not as much. Because, you know, he is lying about it and he did do what he wanted to do, not what she wanted to do. So I think there is some like level of like, this is what he wants, but also like, it's not wrong to want that. Like he loves her and she loves him to some extent. So like, fuck God, get over it.
Stupid kids.
Yeah. Find another daughter. I don't know. Find some other way.
Find another daughter. Is that what you're just going to say?
No, doctor.
Oh. Get another daughter. Who cares about her?
Dina.
She'd be great.
Where's her parents?
She'd be great. Good question. I was wondering that myself, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So what was your favorite moment of this episode? We'll wrap up here.
Stalker, the whole stalker sequence.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Mine's Gail and Joel, that conversation.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, it's one of those things of like, it's a new scene. So like, I might just be gravitating towards those. And also just close-ups of Pedro Pascal are always... it's always a delight. Don't look at my photos album. I have many just like screenshots of him because I was trying to do a post of like, they say he's handsome and I just couldn't pick which one.
Yeah. And you didn't have them already in there. You had to find them, I'm sure.
And I only landed on 3. Not even 4. 3.
Not even 4. Top 3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay. So any final thoughts? Anything that you're like, what's going to happen next, you know, for the season?
I think that there is going to be a lot of questions of morality, a lot of questions of right versus wrong. And I think our characters are going to make some pretty bad decisions.
Even more bad decisions. Yeah. I'm very excited. I think the stinger trailer at the end of like this season on The Last of Us really got me hyped because one, it's new footage we haven't seen. But I just think this show is if it sticks to landing again, I mean, we have so many good shows that are happening right now. I don't know what's happening. Like, great. Love it. But yeah, I'm actually kind of pissed that the show's back just because it's so emotional.
I'm with you.
It's like, yay, it's back. Oh, no.
We're just going to be crying.
Yeah.
Crying all the time.
Yeah. Okay, I do want to say like one thing that's like spoiler. Like this is like game spoiler. So
shut it off.
If you don't want to be spoiled with that, like stop listening here because we're about to wrap up. You gone? Okay. So kind of back to the whole thing of like, so Abby kills Joel. Obviously, you know, we know this from the game. So I think that's what goes back to like seeing her already and getting that like, I want to kill Joel. It does diminish from a person that's played the game of like, oh, that was kind of like one of the biggest emotional things, because when Abby literally meets up with Joel, like she's going to find him, she accidentally meets up with him. He saves her life getting away from this horde of infected, and then she ends up killing him. It was such like the game, the way it starts, it doesn't stop. The game just keeps going. It's just a whirlwind of just like misery and action and terrible choices and violence. And I think like to almost show Abby already going there and like, I'm going to be doing this is like, oh, okay. Like it was a little handholdy. Does that make sense? Like, I wish they would have just kept it how it was, but maybe there's a reason. Maybe they're going to show like a flashback of, because Abby was there in the hospital when Joel unalived all those people. So maybe there's a reason why they did show it that way. But I did like that Abby has a different, now, I guess, relationship with the giraffes that are out there, as in contrast with Elli. Elli was like wonderment, and it was like this thing and hope, and Abby, it's death.
Yeah.
And her family. So I'd like the parallels between the two.
More giraffes.
Yeah. Okay. That's
such a major spoiler. Oh my God. People are going to be so mad if they didn't stop.
I gave ample warning.
Oh my God. Such a big spoiler.
I'll put another spoiler thing here.
Like major spoiler.
Just keep flashing the screen.
I mean, personally, I haven't seen Pedro Pascal die since Game of Thrones. So,
oh my God, he kind of dies the same way.
He gets his eyeballs squished.
Well, I'm not going to tell you.
They step on him. Bash his head in with the bat. It's Negan. He gets Negan.
No.
Worse.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I can't wait.
I don't want to do this.
All right. Till Doctor Who / next episode.